Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am back from being under the weather, but between that, still recovering from the symptoms of that and allergies, my ears are still a little congested, so I'm doing my best. But I am super excited because I have written down so many things while I was sick and unable to record, so I'm really excited to share them with you. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. I have no idea, but the wind is really crazy, so if you hear that, it's just our little white noise, fun sound effects. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what does being delusional really mean, because we hear coaches talk about it all the time. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it. And I realized that I've been using this term and talking about it without having the clearest understanding of how and when to apply it in a way that I could share with others. Like, I knew how to use it for myself, but I started thinking, like, how can I really explain this to other people? So while I was sick and not feeling so hot, I was just sitting there thinking about how can I, and I have some answers. Okay, so when it comes to being delusional, there are ways to apply this that are not productive. My dog is joining. That are not productive. So that's why I wanted to get really clear on, like, what does this actually mean? Hi, Abrachi. You saying hi to everyone. Yes. So what does it really mean to be delusional about your manifestation? Well, we know that the key for manifesting is that you need to believe in something, right? But being delusional is like daydreaming. There's an ant on my camera. What in the world? I feel like I'm inside a daydream right now. It's just so strange. Okay, so being delusional, it's like, how do we balance truly believing in something and having this fantasy daydream about it? Like Abrachi, he was just taking a nap, but I'm sure he was daydreaming about getting pets. So what did he do? He got off of the bed where he was sleeping. He came over to me. He sat in my lap, and I wasn't petting him, so he reached out and touched my hand. So he's taking inspired action to get what he wants and demand it. That's just a silly example. I'm going to tell you the actual thing. So if you are trying to bridge the gap between your daydreams, your fantasies, your imagination, what you envision, your manifestation goals, and your actual beliefs, right? Because if your beliefs align with it, you'd already have it. So I think it's all about flipping the circumstances that cause you doubt or cause that separation or cause the blocks into your favor, so that you can take doubt or objection or denial and flip it into belief. So how do you do this? So you take your logical mind, because as someone who uses their imagination all the time, I'm constantly daydreaming. I daydream of plenty of things that I don't actually want to manifest. I'm sure, like, plenty of people have heard of, like, intrusive thoughts, where you're doing something, you're like, oh my god, what if I just fell off this bridge and into the water? Or like, what if I just fell down all these stairs right now, and you're just like, that would be crazy. It's not, anything that you would actually want to manifest. The ant is on my camera still. Okay. I wonder if it'll, like, walk across the actual lens. We'll see. So how do you, like, you can daydream all these things, but how do you actually bridge it into belief and something that's going to harden into your reality and solidify into your reality? So you want to take your logical mind and think of all the ways that right now you could have your manifestation. And that might be a bridge of events. You might say, well, first, this would need to happen, and then that, and then that, and then that. But I want you to think of as many ways as you can how you could get it right now. This is how you start to bridge things into belief. This is going to be your new story. Now, I'm going to give an example of this, because it doesn't actually have to happen the way your logical mind... I got the ant, sorry. It doesn't have to actually happen the way that your logical mind thinks of. So all those reasons I told you to think of, it doesn't actually have to play out like that. The key is that you're just believing that it could happen for you, because you're starting to see all the ways that it could. And it doesn't need to happen in those ways, but now you understand that it can happen for you. If you still don't believe that it can happen for you, then before I give you this example, if you can't connect the two, you need to work on your self-concept, because you need to become the version of you that is capable of having your manifestation. So this is where you want to envision that version of yourself, work on your self-concept, and then you need to start showing up as that person in your daily life. So you need to be advocating for yourself in ways that that version of you would. And I think that is my simplest and best advice I can give for this topic, is that advocating for yourself as that new version of you. How does that new version of you show up? How does she respond when somebody does something that she just doesn't really appreciate? I'm going to keep that simple. So once you're actually able to start thinking of reasons and ways that things could happen, this is where you want to use your imagination. This is where you want to be delusional. So I'm going to tell you 2 stories. I'm going to tell you back when I had this best friend, we Snapchatted all the time, and we texted all the time as well, but we Snapchatted all the time. Now, all of a sudden, one day, something just looked off with our Snapchat, and I realized that she had unfriended me. And instead of being like, oh my gosh, is she mad at me? Does she not want to be friends anymore? What did I do? What happened? I just assumed that something weird had happened and everything was fine. I was like, I don't know why Snapchat's showing me this. It must be a glitch. And so when I talked to her on the phone next, I was like, hey, did you notice that Snapchat deleted us as friends? And she was like, what? Oh my gosh. And she went and looked, and she was like, dude, that's so weird. And then lo and behold, it turns out it was a glitch. And it deleted us as friends twice because we re-added each other. And then the second time it happened, I could have said, oh my gosh, what if this isn't a glitch? What if she just really is trying to ice me out or something? But no, I was just like, oh, it glitched again. This has happened with multiple people for me. And these are people that I held in high importance in my life and high value. And I could have been like, oh my God, why did they block me? Why did they delete me? Why do they hate me? But it turned out that there really was a Snapchat glitch out there. So my brain just thought of the belief of, no, everything's fine. Something happened. I'm sure I could have also believed, oh, she hates me, and then obviously that would have manifested because that would have been a belief. But I could have chosen either way, and I chose to believe technology glitches sometimes. I don't know what this is, but it must just be an accident. And so then that was the reality I aligned myself with. That, yeah, it was just a glitch, and everything was fine with our friendship. Now, a different example I want to share is, I think I've talked about it on this channel, about when I was I 13? 12 or 13. I was getting into horses. I was horseback riding. I was taking lessons. I was training to compete. And at the barn I was at, I was competing in Western riding events, so I wasn't jumping or anything, and I won't bore you with horse stuff, but it was just a little bit different than the stuff that was in my area. So I was at this barn. It was hard to find horses that were trained for what exactly I was trying to do in the area I was in and at the level of just connection I had. But all of a sudden one day this horse shows up at the barn. He was there. His name was Blaze. His name, actually that's not what they called him at the time. Anyway, Blaze shows up. He was brought in for another family. They were trying to buy him for their daughter, who was my age. She was doing the same thing as me, trying to compete in the same, style. And my trainer was just like, hey, you want to do this one day? This horse is trained for this. Let's put you on him just so you can feel what it's like to ride a horse that's trained for, what you're learning. And I fell in love with him, and I just knew in my heart that he was for me. And it's cheesy, but I whispered in his ear when I was putting him away. I was like, just wait for me. I'm going to figure this out. Just wait for me and I'll have you. But there was, in my mind, nothing wrong with this horse. He was perfect. I thought he was beautiful, just everything. And, like, why would this other family not want him? Well, I thought of all the reasons that they might not want to, and this was a very long time ago, so I can't tell you specifically what they were. But I sat there and I thought of just all the reasons why they would not buy him. And I'm sure because I was a child, some of those reasons were that the universe was just going to work out in my favor because, I just had that like young innocence, and I just had this belief that he was mine, and that's the key, was I believed he was mine. Now, the key to this story is that the reason they didn't end up buying him was because their daughter thought he was ugly. Straight up, those were the words she used. He wasn't pretty enough for her. Now, obviously, I did not have a belief that he wasn't pretty enough, right? I thought he was beautiful. He was perfect to me. So this is what I mean by things can come together in a different way than your logical mind can understand. But the key was that I believed it would fall apart, that sale would fall apart, and he would end up with me, and he did. I had him until the end of his life, and he was the love of my life. And like, I never believed that he wasn't pretty enough, but I had all these beliefs of why he would end up with me. So this is what I'm saying, like, you don't need to hold on to the actual beliefs and the ideas of how things can work out for you. You just want to hold on to the core belief that things can work out for you. So use your logical mind. Pair it with your imagination. Think of creative ways how things can work out for you, because that's going to help create the belief that, wait a minute, I can actually see this happening for me. And if you're struggling with that, work on your self-concept more. Why don't you feel that these things will work out for you? Do you feel that you're not worthy of that? What is it? And then affirm for that thing. Work on your self-concept. See yourself as a person who deserves it and is worthy of it and can have it. But these are my thoughts on being delusional and how to get it to work in your favor for manifestation. I think one of the things that I really like about thinking of all the different logical yet imaginative, goodness gracious, guys, sorry, just making up words here, all of the different ways that things can come to be for you, is letting go of the how, right? So just knowing, like, oh my goodness, there's just a million ways that things can work out for me, and having that belief and letting go of the way that it actually shows up for you, because you know that it can show up for you, and you know that you'll probably be surprised by the way that it does. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, what's going on for you. I love all the engagement, but I also really love reading, what's like your thoughts and just what's going on in your lives. I love reading all the comments. So thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe if you want to hear more. Turn on the bell if you want to know when I post. Like I said, I'm catching up because I was sick. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more. And I'm excited for the other videos I have to record today. So look forward to seeing those. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day.